The first data type that I want to talk about is string, and string is something which contains anything that is character or alphanumeric, and it can be numeric also, like 1 2 3. This is how we basically assign values to a string variable. For example, customer underscore name is Guido, middle name is Van, and last name is Rosam. So Guido Van Rossum was the creator of Python, by the way, and he was a Dutch programmer. This is how we assign values to variables, and because we are putting them in double quotes, all these variables become string data type. If you do not want to put any value or assign any value to a variable, you can initialize the variable using the string function. For example, cust underscore take equal to str open and close bracket. So what would happen is that this particular variable cust underscore take would become a string data type without any value. And obviously in the first line, customer name, middle name and last name, all these three are string variables because I have assigned the value Guido Van Rossum to these variables. Now I told you in the classes and objects that class might also contain something called code block, and you can use that code block in the objects also. So that's where operations on variables of type string means. You can use those code blocks to do certain operations. For example, if you see customer underscore name is the name of the variable. So because it is a string variable, these are the operations that I can do. Now all these operations are some code block written in the string class. So what I'm saying here is that customer underscore name dot split based on comma. So this is what split is, and split is a code that is written in the string class. It's a code block rather that is written in the string class. So we have to pass this particular value, and this code would execute based on the value which is there in the customer name variable. So whatever is there in customer name would be passed to this particular code along with another parameter which is comma, and then it will be split. Similarly, you have split lines. So here I'm mentioning that new line character, and if let's say we have a single variable and we know that there are multiple lines in it with new line, we can split them into multiple lines also. Then you have capitalize, and what capitalize would do here, if you see that we have Guido, Van and Rossum, all are in small letters. So if you capitalize them, G would become capital, V would become capital, and R would become capital in all of them. But in this case, I'm just using customer underscore name dot capitalize. So only G would be capitalized because customer underscore name is the string variable. We can also check whether a string variable contains decimal value or not, or it contains digit value or not, or it contains either decimal or digit, whether it is a numeric or not. Because sometimes what might happen is that we want to change the string data type to an integer data type. But if that string data type contains A, B, C, D, then it would give error. So that's why before that we want to check whether it contains those values or not. So if the string contains decimal value or digit value or numeric value, then you can convert the data type to integer. Then you have lower and upper. So it changes the entire all the letters to lowercase or uppercase. Then you have left strip and right strip. So in left strip, the blanks at the beginning would be removed, and in right strip, the blanks at the end would be removed. There are a few other operations also, like strip. If you use strip, what would happen is that all the blank at the beginning and the end at the end would be removed. Then you can replace a string also. We can check whether it contains lowercase letters or uppercase letters, and then we can use format also. We'll talk about format later on in conjunction with print. Then you can find a particular value in a string, and then we can concatenate multiple strings also. So let's say I want to concatenate customer name, middle name and last name. We can use this plus sign, and all these three names would be concatenated. So let's do some hands-on. Again, I'll be using the CLI here. So the first thing is that let's say I create this variable customer name, and is Guido, and middle name may be Van, and last name would be Rosam. And then let's say I have another variable, let's say price, and it contains string, but the value is, let's say, 500.75. Then I have another string, maybe quantity, and it contains, let's say, 15. So all these are string. Now if I use type with customer name, it would get string, it would give me string. Middle name, it would give me string. Same is the case with last name, price, and quantity. So if you see, all the data types are string. The first thing that I want to show you is split. So let's say this is again another string variable. I have hi, my name is 3IAM, and we have data engineering and machine learning courses. So I want to split this particular character by comma. So what will I do? I can use line, then dot split, followed by using comma. Now what would happen? It would create a something called a list. I'll talk about list later on. And then hi is a separate element. My name is Tinayam is a separate element, and we have data engineering and machine learning courses as a separate element. So this is how we can split a particular line, and you can keep this in a separate variable also. So now this lines variable would contain the same thing, and if I check the data type of lines, it would be list. So as you can see, it is class list. So this is how we can split a particular string using a value like column. I could have mentioned dot also had we have dot here. So the price, this is what the value of price is, and let's see whether it is digit, which is false, whether it is numeric, which is also false, whether it is decimal, which is also false. Now the reason is that it has a dot here. Now if I change it, let's say price as 50075, now is it decimal, which is true, is it numeric, it is true, and is it digit, it is true. So dot is playing a spoiler sport here. So but anyways, this is how we can use these checks like is digit, is numeric, is decimal, to find out whether there's numerical value in a particular string or not. Now we can convert the name. So we have this customer name, which is Guido. Actually it should be Guido. Okay, so now what will I do? I will change it to upper. So all of them would become uppercase, and I can change it to lower also. So all of them would become lowercase. Then I can capitalize this. Now what would happen is only the spelling is wrong. Only the first letter would become capital. So that's what capitalize is. Then let's say I have a variable like address, and here I have multiple space, and then let's say Bangalore, and then we have multiple spaces. Now what you can do, I can type address dot l strip. It would remove the initial spaces. If I use a right strip, it will remove the spaces at the end. If I just use strip, it would remove spaces from front and end. We can also find out whether a particular value has lower or upper or not. For example, let's say customer name, I mention it as Guido rather. So I can type customer name dot is lower, it should be false, and if I use is upper, it should be true, because all are uppercase characters. If there's mix, then of course there would be problem. So let me capitalize it, and if you see Guido is G is capital. Let me use this value in cust name. So this is the value, and if I use is lower, is upper false, is lower is also false, because there is one capital character on one uppercase character and multiple lowercase characters. Then finally we can concatenate a string also. Let's say customer underscore name, I want to concatenate all of them using capitalize, first capitalize and then do it, plus last name dot capitalize. Now it is coming as Guido van Rossum, but this is not how I want to do it. I want to have a space in between. So it's very simple. Just add a space and then concatenate that space. So something like this. Now we should be see a proper name, Guido van Rossum. So these are the various operations that we can do using string.